Hi guys, I am Swati and I am an opinion writer with Indianfolk. My latest article is titled One Country, Two Systems, the China-Hong Kong Conflict. Anti-government and anti-Chinese protests have been going on in Hong Kong since June 2019 and show no signs of dying down anytime soon. These protests began because of the introduction of an amendment to the Extradition Bill, which proposed that criminal suspects in Hong Kong will now be susceptible to trials in the Chinese mainland. People in Hong Kong fear that this amendment will actually be exploited by the Chinese government and will subject the Hong Kong citizens to unfair trials and violent treatment by the authoritative Chinese government operating in China. What these protesters have been demanding have changed over the course of these months. However, the essence of the demands remain the same. They believe that this amendment that has been proposed needs to be withdrawn. They also believe that the term riot, which the Chinese government has associated with this movement, needs to be withdrawn. They also demand amnesty for all the protesters who have been arrested. There is a demand for universal adult suffrage in the decision making and in the election of the chief executive of Hong Kong and also of the chief legislature, which is the Hong Kong Parliament. They also believe that the chief executive, who handles all matters of administrative and of executive prowess in Hong Kong, are often being dominated by a puppet-like chief executive who's being dictated and whose actions are being dominated by the Chinese regime. They believe that this is an attempt by the Chinese government at curbing the autonomy which Hong Kong citizens have. Hong Kong is basically a former British colony which was handed back to China in 1997 with an agreement which stated that Hong Kong citizens and the Hong Kong state will have some degree of autonomy with regard to its operation for the next 50 years, which basically means that till the time period of 2047. This is primarily because the Hong Kong culture, the polity, the society and the economy are starkly different from the ones that operate in China. The people in Hong Kong, the society in Hong Kong associates more with the liberal ideas of freedom, rights, liberty, etc., which they have imbibed from the British rule, from the British colonial rule that has been there for a very long time. It is precisely this difference that China intends to curb. They believe that the Chinese government has been trying to infringe upon this autonomy that Hong Kong has been granted. What the citizens of Hong Kong also fear is that this amendment to the Extradition Bill will be exploited by the Chinese government in order to arrest and arbitrarily treat the activists and the journalists operating in Hong Kong. They believe that the Chinese government will actually try to dominate them and will actually try to curb this democratic spirit operating in Hong Kong. The Chinese government has reacted to this entire controversy. They have associated the term terrorism with the protest movements, with the civil protest movements operating in Hong Kong. They have also unleashed police forces which have used tear gas, which have used rubber bullets and guns on the protest movements, which were rather peaceful and did not essentially require or did not essentially deserve this kind of treatment for the Chinese government. And it is precisely these kind of moves which are further infuriating the movement. People also demand the resignation of the present chief executive, Carrie Lam. In the recent months and in the recent weeks, people have also gone on to burn Chinese flags and to bring down Lenin walls, which show how the Chinese government is using propaganda to exploit the Hong Kong system. If you want to read more on this, please go through some of our articles and the more videos that we have made on this topic. It is in fact concerning that this protest movement has been going on for months now, and the Chinese government seems to not show any kind of cooperative approach to this entire movement, and it is for the entire world to see how this movement will proceed and how the Chinese government will react to the rights of Hong Kong citizens. Thank you.